What's up, everybody? We are back, episode 2, baby. Right back at you. All right,
Yes,
this is
sir.
Real Talk Football, baby. It's your boy Jerry, aka Rock Too Easy, and my guy KG,
What
Coach J.
what's going on, everybody? Jerry, what's going on, my guy?
What's up, dog? How you feeling?
I'm good, boss. Just living life, ready to get these topics flowing and get these to the people and give them what they need.
For sure. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow our pages. They're scrolling on the bottom that you'll see it. If you can't see it, just make sure you pay attention just a little bit further. And it will go right by. And you can't miss it. You can't miss it. All right, now you ready to get this show started, bro?
You already know. Let's get it, man.
All right, let's get it. Let's get it.
What we
I
got?
mean, flashing breaking news. Stephon Diggs has been traded to the Texans from the Bills. Now, I feel like this has kind of been like a long time coming due to the fact of we always heard rumbles of how he's been. And it's unfortunate the way he gets this tag. Well, I'm sorry. First thing, he got traded for a second round pick. And included with that second round pick, the Texans bought out his contract. So now he can either get a new deal or become a free agent and walk and go where he wants to go. But yeah, like I said, it's an unfortunate situation with him because he's a dog of a receiver. When he's on teams, I think his passion can rub people the wrong way. His the way he carries himself can rub people the wrong way. When he was on the Vikings and now he's on the Bills, and now all of a sudden, like I said, both times you're hearing rumbles of problems. So how you feel about this trade, man?
I like it for the Texans for sure. I think what this does for Diggs, though, as this approve, I think he gonna approve it year. I also think it's gonna open up more of the run game for Joe Mixon back there. I also think it's gonna open up things for Tank Dell. I think it's gonna open up things for Schultz. I think Diggs is gonna be. I think he's gonna be more open than not because of Diggs and Schultz and what's his name on the other side that balled
Dell,
out last year.
Tank Dell.
Nah, not Tank, the other receiver. Tank got hurt. Um,
Oh dang! You know what? I'm running a blank on my
I'm
damn self.
I'm tripping on his name right now, but he balled out last year. He played at Michigan. I know that. Um, but I think what this does for Diggs is, like he's gonna be open, but I also think he's gonna be a decoy because you got Tank Dell and you
Nico
got
Collins.
Nico Collins. There it is. Nico
Yes.
Collins
Mm-hmm.
is going to be a beast. He was a beast last year when Tank stepped out when he got hurt, and I think you're going to see a different Diggs. That's what I think. I think you're going to see a different Diggs, and when it comes to attitude, because he knows his window is closing for that ring, and if he want to do well this year, after with the follow up this year, this season coming up, and what the Texans did last year, he gotta stay in line this year.
For sure. You know what? Honestly, what I want to see from him, which will be a big thing, and I'm not saying that he's not this way, but you're the vet guy here. I want you to lead these young guys. You
Yes,
know what I
sir.
mean?
Yes,
That
sir.
that that's
Agreed.
another a major part that can help you get to that bag. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Lead
Agreed.
these young guys, show them a way, show them how to be a pro, show them how to be a professional, show them the route tree, just show them little key things. And I already know that you're capable of doing that, but lead here and not here. But
Right.
not even just not here. It's when you are voicing yourself, make sure it's coming out the right way. You know what I mean? And you can just learn from these things. I don't know if it's a therapy thing or what you got to do. Just learn how to voice your feelings of what you're trying to get across.
Oh, great. I listen. I'm 100% with you. Um, I think you're gonna see a different Diggs this year. He's gonna be more quiet, less of a distraction, because that's what he needs to be, less of a distraction. You you argue with a rookie franchise quarterback going into his second year now, you're gonna find yourself somewhere else, and they ain't got time for disruptions over there in Houston.
Right. Exactly. He's like when he's in tune, He's a playmaker, big playmaker, and that offense is going to be scary. That old line was holding up the ball from C.J. Stroud. He was getting that ball out. That defense is only going to get better. So I'm looking forward to see how it's going to turn out for him this year.
Yep, good move for them. Good move, and along with their free agency moves as well.
Mm.
Talking about the Bills, right? You got the Bills that get rid of Stephon Diggs, and you also have the Chargers get rid of Keenan Allen, trade him to the Bears, and then you have Mike Williams. He signs with the Jets. So my question for the people, what they think, but what you think as well, do the Bills and Chargers have an open spot at wide receiver knowing this draft is coming up? Will the Bills regret getting rid of Stephon Diggs? And will the Chargers regret getting rid of Keenan Allen coming off in a career year and getting rid of Mike Williams, the red zone threat? What do you think is their plan at wide receiver for both teams?
So as far as the Bills go, I definitely see them going after a wide receiver. You're going to need to try to bring in another number one guy. And the good problem that they have right now is this draft is super deep wide receivers. It's just a matter of who you get. You know what I mean? You don't want to get the wrong guy because we've seen that the Eagles and the Vikings. You know, we've seen that take place. So with that being said, it's just a matter of you getting that right guy. And I honestly want to see more of a balance with the Bills this year because we saw that in the second half when they got rid of the offensive coordinator with Josh Allen. Him throwing the ball around is only going to create more turnovers for him. And that's the last thing we want to keep seeing from this dude. You want to see him bring these young receivers in and groom them and show them the way that he wants to play the game.
Right.
The Chargers, being as though who their head coach is,
right.
I honestly see them going O-line maybe in the first round and then try to go wide receiver in the second round. Because his mindset is, we're going to run this ball. We're going to play some defense because you see they restructured Bosa and Max deals. Hopefully we can get a healthy Derwin James. That team has a lot of name talent. It's just health and chemistry and coaching that set them back a while for them to succeed in the AFC.
Right.
So with that being said,
I think the coach was holding them back a little bit too.
Yeah, it definitely lack of experience, you know. And
Stanley,
that happens.
Stanley coaching them out of games. Brandon Staley coaching them out of games and losing games, going for it too many times on fourth down. Like, man, pump the ball. You in your own zone and you going for it every single time.
That's the new era we're in, bro. That's the new era that we're in. They want to these analytics and everything like that. And then you got Kellen Moore with the video.
Right.
He was scared as hell. He's like, what the hell are y'all doing? You know? So, but you got Harbaugh in there. He's a run first guy. Like, I think they go offensive line and then wide receiver in the second round because it's a deep draft. Right. Put some protection for Herbert, you know, and that's what it is.
I also listen. I want to give you some stats, man. You know, I got to bring the stats out. You know what I mean? For the Bills, right? Mm-hmm. Now that you let go Stephon Diggs, you still have Khalil Shakir, who kind of balled in the playoffs in those two games. He came on late at the end, and then they add Curtis Samuel to the mix on their team, right? You got two small, quick guys. They are not outside receivers, I believe. They're slot guys. Do some reverses with them and all that type of guys. But let me hit you with their stats this year, right? Mm-hmm. Khalil had 39 catches, 611 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Curtis Samuel had 62 catches, 613 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. They kind of even each other out. They're going to need that number one receiver that can get double teams, command double teams, so they can get open. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think having the 28th pick, they do fall in that range for a receiver, maybe a Donnie Mitchell or his teammate from Texas and Xavier Worthy, who had the fastest time in the combine this year. Keon Coleman from Florida State, big red zone guy, kind of like Mike Williams, but can run down the field. He had some drops this season for Florida State, but I believe he's a good talent to pick up, especially late in the first round. And then this guy who also made noise in the combine running the 4.35 at his pro day, Xavier Leggett from South Carolina.
Okay.
Kid can kid can take. He took a couple um, passes, slant routes, and hitches 75 and 80 yards, catching it and just going, running past
Right.
everybody. You know what I mean? So I
Mm.
think they fall in that range for a good receiver that they can get in the late round. And now, for as far as the Chargers, they got the 5th pick. Like you said, we think offensive line because of Harbaugh. I'm leaning that way towards them too. But maybe they do pick a wide receiver too, because if they don't pick a wide receiver there, I think the talent drops off unless somebody who with that first round talent drops
Right.
off in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
But they're bringing back Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston from TCU, right? He had the early drops in the season, the middle drops, and then he came
This
on,
is second
started.
year, right?
Yeah, this is gonna be his second year.
Right.
Yeah. Josh Palmer got hurt in the season. He was found a groove and then he got hurt. 38 receptions, 581 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Right.
Quentin Johnston, another 38 catches, 431 yards, 2 touchdowns. They are going to have to find a number one receiver unless they think about making Quentin Johnston the number one receiver. I don't think you do because of his last year in drops. Maybe they do
Mm.
find some confidence in him during camp. Who knows? But as far as 5th pick, maybe Malik Neighbors is there. Maybe his teammate Brian Thompson is there. Or I think this guy is very underrated. Even though he balled at Washington, Roma, Donze, I really, I
That's
really,
my guy.
I really love that kid. I think he's gonna
Mm.
be. I think he's gonna be a great wide receiver for
He's tough.
any team, and I think he's
Super
gonna make
tough.
any quarterback look good and get that yak, make them hard, athletic catches. I think he's gonna be a good talent come the draft. It's gonna be a steal for them in the first round or even the late second round if he does fall. So I think either team. I think both teams should go for a wide receiver, but having that 5th pick, maybe they drop down to go get that receiver, and if they don't pick O line at number 5.
Right. Got you. Yeah. We'll see how everything goes. We got the draft coming up in about what?
2 weeks.
And so things will move around. They'll shake around. People will be moving up and moving down. I think that what happens is a lot of quarterbacks will go early because that talent is there. And then it's only you got a lot of quarterbacks this year, wide receivers, and offensive line. And some sprinkled in D lines. And teams are going to get after that D line whenever they can. So
Right.
we'll see how that turns out. But now that we're off the 2 topics that we were on, we're going to break down the AFC free agent pickups, people they lost, the record last year, the draft pick, the draft plans. We'll see how everything works out for them. So I'm going to cover the AFC South. First team we'll go over is the Titans. Finished last year 6-11. They got the number 7 pick this year, and so they have a lot of options that they can go to, being as though that they lost a lot of guys. If you look at it, you got a second-year quarterback who's coming in, and I liked Will when he was in the game. You had Tannehill, then you had Will, so it was kind of jumping around, and you didn't really have no chemistry going on. Then you had Derrick Henry, who they knew that they was going to the ball with him, so they were looking to just stop him from the rip. You had D-Hop. He had his moments, but nothing was really consistent like that. So with that being said, I still think they need more help on the interior, offensive and defensive line. So I think they'll go D-line or O-line just to help both sides of that ball and just see where they go from there. They have a lot of rebuilding to do. They got to get a running back. Well, they got Pollard, but we don't know what Pollard's going to be. We thought he was going to have a bounce back year. He got injured against the Niners. Then last year, it was solid, but nothing was real consistent.
Right.
You got to get another wide receiver threat with D-Hop and the other kid that they had got because he was inconsistent himself. I think they need to get a tight end too. Not in the first round, but I think they need to get a solid tight end too because the kid can throw the ball. So we'll see what happens there.
I'm not really high on Mr. Mayonnaise in the coffee, Will Levis. So
he called him mayonnaise.
I'm good off that boy. He had an okay season, a couple games, but we'll see how he bounces back this year in his sophomore season.
Right. Well, they now I just realized that they brought in Calvin Ridley too.
Yes, they
So
did.
they got their two wide receivers. So they got their two wide receivers. They got Pollard, and so I think they'll either, like I said, go against that offensive line or hook up that D line to try
Yeah, he
to.
needs will need some protection down there. He'll be.
For sure,
I
for
think they
sure.
go O line,
Yeah,
especially having the
definitely.
seventh pick. They might
Mhm.
go the kid from Notre Dame off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yep. Next team up was the Colts. They finished 9-8 last year. They got the number 15th pick, and so with they brought in Flacco. I don't know what he's going to do. He's a good vet guy. Richardson just got to stay healthy.
Mhm.
Once again, like we talked about last week, he. I understand he has his legs, but at the same time, stand back there and throw that ball. They have a good offensive line.
Mhm.
They have a real good solid offensive line. You got two good run. Well, you got Taylor. I
Mhm.
don't know if they got the other running back still this year. You got Taylor who can still run that ball. He can still catch the ball, get downfield. Um, so I think they'll still go after D line due to the offensive line being good, due to them still having Michael Pittman
Right.
and re-signing him. I think they'll go D line because they got your linebacker who they re-signed. They got a solid back end. So we'll see where it goes from there. What you think?
Um, I'm in agreement with you because I believe that um their head coach, their offensive coordinator who was here for the Eagles ran Richardson way too much. And that's why he got hurt. I
Right.
think they do. I think they do sitting there right in the middle of the pack picking. They will go offensive line. I think they need to for his protect. I think they need for his protection because you look at it, they only got Nelson. Nelson's like their only consistent guy on the offensive
Yeah,
line. They do. They did resign Pittman. They do got Josh Downs. A lot of people are still high on him, and they still got Alec Pierce. So I think they got some good. They got some good receivers for him, and like you said, they still have Jonathan Taylor, and who can tote that rock as long as he's healthy. So I
definitely.
think that he needs to lean on Taylor a little bit more, marry the run game with the pass game, play action, and let Richardson go deep to Pittman or those other wide receiver is in Pearson Downs, and they should be fine in that division. But they're gonna be fighting. They're gonna be fighting the Texans for the winning in that division. So
For sure. Yeah. So the next team that we got up is the Jags. Jags last year finished 9-8. They got the number 17th pick. They brought in Eric Armstead,
hmm
Gabe Davis, Mitch Morse. They brought in a lot of guys this year to try to build around Trevor Lawrence, offensive and defensive side. I think they got dinged with a lot of injuries. Trevor, they started out hot, injuries happened. They started, and then now they ended up missing the playoffs last year. So with the
right,
17th pick, I think they go after cornerback after they lost their guy from last year. They let him go. They need more healthy guys on that defense that can help contribute. I like Eric Armstead, even though he missed time last year. He is a problem. And I think the Niners are definitely going to miss him. I feel like he was a key piece to that D line for the Niners, too, by the way.
yes, I
He
do.
was a key piece because his pass rush ability and run stopping ability is crazy. So the Niners will miss him. The Jaguars will help building for him. And yeah, I think they'll still go cornerback because they lost their guy from last year and they just
When
need
are
help
they
when they
picking again?
17.
Picking 17.
Yeah.
Okay. I, okay. All
Yeah. So we'll see how that works out for them.
right.
Uh
Go
last
ahead.
team.
No,
Oh,
I have no comment on the Jags. I know you love your guy, the
Sunshine?
generational talent they call in Sunshine
Sunshine?
Trevor Lawrence. I do not believe in him. He has started hot or started cold every other season and then ended hot or ended cold in every other season. So he gonna have to show me this year. Is he worthy? Because this is what year 4, year 5, going into one of those
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
contract
whoa,
years
whoa, 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 whoa,
before
whoa.
they.
It's not year 4, year 5.
What
Hold
you
up.
think? Year
We're not,
4.
we not about to do this.
We're year
We're not
4.
about to do this.
It's year
It's not
4.
year. Hold on. Okay.
Year
We're
4.
we're gonna call the first year Mulligan due to who that coach was.
It's still counting. He still played, right?
It was a Mulligan. Don't
Yeah,
start with me, damn it.
year
Don't
4.
start with me, damn it. It was a Mulligan.
Year 4. So we going into year 4. He going into that. Can we get the bag year?
Yeah.
Is he a
Yeah.
franchise quarterback year? Is it are we paying him, or are we just going to pick up that 5th-year option in the contract? Are we
They're
going
gonna
to do
pick up the
that?
option. But
So
I honestly think that Doug Peterson got to have more of a balance. Get another running back with ETN because ETN was getting dinged up. Get more balance. Stop trying to make Trevor throw the ball so much. He had a knock for that on the Eagles too.
they do have another running back. They drafted Tank last year, Tank Bixby from Auburn.
They did. You're right.
And
And
Tank came in there and spelled them pretty well.
but then once again, like I said, they're relying on the pass too much. And Trevor has a habit of staring the receivers down. He sees what he sees the defense and what they're doing. It's just a matter of once he checks into that, he's staring down the barrel, and the next thing you know, these guys is just jumping stuff. That's where a lot of his
True self
turnovers come.
set you free, Rock.
I'm being honest. He's still my guy, though. You're not gonna hate on him. That's what we're not gonna do. We're not gonna hate on him. All right. Let me get off the Jags because we ain't about to get started on this right now. Last team in the AFC South is the Texans. Texans last year finished 10-7. Oh my goodness, they overachieved. Nobody's seen this coming. Well, I was a CJ Stroud fan in college.
Yes, sir.
I was thinking they was going to win probably around like 6 games. Have some type of ups and downs throughout the season, but they came in and they was rolling. They came in rolling. New head coach and all. New quarterback, new head coach, and so they took what they had last year and they said, you know what, we're going to add to that. We're going to bring in Joe Mixon. We're going to bring in Stephon Diggs. We're going to bring in Danielle Hunter. We're going to keep adding to what we have so that we were able to compete in the AFC, aka against Patrick Mahomes, Mr. So that's what they wanted to do. I really like everything they've done. They don't have a draft pick in the first round this year, but they said we don't got no draft pick, but we're going to bring guys in and we're going to make some noise this year. That's what I think.
For sure. I am with you on the same thing as CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, he is that guy. He balled out at Ohio State. Yes, I know Bryce Young got all the attention and he won the Heisman, but the best quarterback was CJ Stroud from the rip before the draft. I kept posting it on Instagram, on Facebook. You go with CJ Stroud as a first round pick. Granted, Panthers don't have any wideouts. They don't got any weapons. You know what I mean?
No.
But if you pick in the Heisman Trophy winner and he supposed to be that guy, if he's your guy, then he supposed to make everybody better around him, right? But CJ, for CJ, he was a baller. He is ready every single game. He proved it. And if Marvin Harrison didn't get hurt in the semifinal bowl game, right, in the playoff, you could talk about maybe Ohio State winning that championship and not Georgia going back to back.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do like what the Texans did this offseason so far in free agency. They made a lot of moves. I don't even think they need a first round pick. That defense is solid. D'Amico Ryan's gonna have them flying around as usual, and CJ Stroud gonna come back and ball, and Tank Dell's coming back next year. So it's gonna be lovely. And they got a legit running back in Joe Mixon. Legit. Yeah. There's no Devin Singletary for 2 downs and somebody else for 2 downs. This is Joe Mixon. He's gonna be out there for every down.
For sure.
All right, on to the AFC West. The Chiefs won that division, and then you had the Chargers down at the bottom of the barrel. The Chargers were 5-12. We talked about the Chargers earlier with maybe drafting a receiver at number 5, maybe going O-line, considering John Harbaugh is their coach now. The Chargers had some key departures in Austin Eckler, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen, who was also traded. Some additions they made with some key additions. They made a lot of additions, but Denzel Perryman Hayden Hurst at the tight end, and Will Disley at the tight end from Seattle. I do like that combination because both of them are versatile. I do like what that does in the cube for Justin Herbert. Working the seams, and they brought in Gus Edwards as well, who also balled for the Ravens last year. So I think they did make some key additions, but they still got some work to do. I don't want to see Justin Herbert digress without those receivers on the outside right now because he can sling the ball around, and I don't think we're going to see that 4,500-yard season for him because the way of how John Harbaugh runs his offense. How about you? What do you think of the Chargers? Their addition for free agency?
So what I think the Chargers, John Harbaugh came in. I think he was like slightly trying to rebuild, but slightly still trying to contend at the same time because they were so cap strong, bro. They lost a lot of people. They had to restructure deals. They lost Michael Kendricks, their linebacker. So they're definitely going to need a linebacker.
Right.
You got to bank on James. I was about to say Dorwin Davis.
Right.
Dorwin James staying healthy, making plays. He's a playmaker when healthy. You got to bank on that. I think that they'll still have their struggles going into this year due to them trying to find a new identity, getting guys in that is for Harbaugh. So it's going to take them a year or two to evolve and try to bring in that nasty. I honestly no, I'm sorry. The defense will come out nasty because he's going to make sure that happens. Now the offense, on the other hand, might wear out that defense due to them not having any playmakers. So with that being said,
might see a lot of 3 and outs.
Exactly. And so you'll see them losing games, but at the same time, it's like you're losing games because your offense can't really help you like that. And so we'll see how that turns out. I just think that it's going to take a year or two to rebuild into the way that he wants his teams to look, because that team that he took over is not the way that he plays his game.
Nope,
not at all.
Not at all. He gonna make it into his. All right. We got the Raiders and Denver finished at 8 and 9, but we're gonna start with the Las Vegas Raiders, who lost, I think, a key receiver for them that opens up the offense for Adams. Hunter Renfrow is gone. Jimmy porn star G, what they used to call him, Stephen. You know what I mean?
Mr. Pornhub himself.
and they lost DJ Fluker, a guard offensive lineman. The key additions, though, I like what they did at grabbing Christian Wilkins from Miami and adding him with my man Max Crosby, who I think is a straight monster.
Nasty.
They did get it. They got a. He was a starter this year because of Richardson going down. They got Gardner Minshew. I don't think they go with the kid Aiden O'Connell as their starter, and then they picked up Alexander Madison from the Vikings. Now with Vegas, right? They're in the middle of the pack. I don't know if they trade up and get a quarterback. Do they stay put and grab a receiver? Do they grab a corner to go defense? Do they go defense, or do they go offensive line? In my opinion, I think they need to either try to move up, depending on what they are willing to give up, what assets they really give up, whether it's picks or players, to go get a quarterback. If they sit back, do they draft a Bo Nix? Do they draft a Michael Penix? Who knows? So they got some decisions to make as their pick is getting closer or before the draft. How about you? What do you think about the Raiders?
What pick number they got?
The Raiders are, I believe they're 11.
11?
Yes.
Oh, Penix will be right there for you.
He definitely will.
Because you can't have another year with Devontae Adams. People forget that he's one of the best wide receivers in the league due to the fact that his quarterback play. Because when he got a quarterback, homeboy gets busy. And not to say that there isn't receivers out there who've gotten busy with bad quarterbacks, but it was pretty bad of what he was dealing with when he came to the Raiders.
I
And I
lied.
think
They
that
have 13. They have picked 13.
13
So
and Penix will still
he'll
be there.
still be there. He'll still be
He'll
there.
still be there. You know,
Hmm.
I would like that. I would like that a lot if they go after Penix at quarterback.
Hmm.
But I also think they need a running back too. If they don't get I'm not saying they go running back first round, of course. I'm not
Nah,
believing in that at all this year for the running back class. There is nobody generational that's coming out. But
not at
you
all.
go quarterback, you give a guy you get a guy in Penix who can go and get that ball to Devontae.
Right.
And that's just really what it is. And I think once again, you go get a running back later in the draft and keep building from there. I like what the intern head coach did going towards the back end of the last year. Guys, they balled in and they were playing hard. They gave the Chiefs hell, especially Max Crosby, because you know how he feels about Mahomes.
Right.
So that defense is going to be on point. Go get
Right.
yourself a quarterback and try to build from there.
Gotcha. Uh, on to Denver. They have pick 12. They pick right before the Raiders. They got some key departures. I do believe that Russell Wilson was a key departure for them, even though it didn't work out between him and Sean Payton. Russell Wilson did not have a bad year, as we discussed last week on our show. He had the 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, and everybody tried to blame Russell for the bad season when he was balling. He was middle of the pack, but he was doing what he needed to do to keep his team in games and win games as well. Um, Another key loss that they have was Justin Simmons at safety. They released him. That's gonna
Who
you
hasn't
know
been re-signed by nobody.
no, he's sitting there for the taking. He may want too much money, but he gonna realize that price is gonna go down as the draft gets closer. And they also lost Lloyd Cushenberry, a center. All right, center is like almost as most important as a quarterback because he makes sure he makes the calls before the quarterback snaps the ball. He gets everybody on covering the blitzes, and I think the center position is one of the key positions on the offensive line, unlike the left tackle, that blind side. But for me, I think, and they did add some people, but there was no big names, no key people
Right.
for worth mentioning that they picked up this year in free agency. But as far as the draft needs, I think they obviously need a quarterback, whether they move up from 12 or not. They need a receiver, another receiver. They need offensive line. As good as their defense is, I do think they need some edge rushers. With Justin Simmons leaving, they do need a safety now. Who do they do also need another corner to go over there with Patrick Surtain the second. I don't know what the Denver can give up to trade up to get that quarterback that they may want, whether it's Drake May or JJ McCarthy. They don't have many teams moving up right now for Michael Penix, and I don't like moving up for JJ McCarthy and giving away assets, or for Drake May as well. What you think?
First things first, those last two names you said, you smell that? I smell ass. I ain't buying neither one of them dudes. Ass.
You selling?
JJ, ass.
You selling on all of that?
Drake May, ass. That's what they is. That's what I'm gonna say with them too. But you said they got the 12th pick. I said Penix to the Raiders. I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Payton get Penix either. He gets that ball out fast. Sean Payton wants a quarterback like a Drew Brees gets that ball out fast.
Yes, he does.
All right,
Yes,
now I got my
great
quarterback.
point.
Now let me build from there. That's
Great
how Sean
point.
Payton is. Now he's a see, you got the Raiders, you got a defensive minded head coach. You got the Broncos, you got an offensive minded head coach. So
Mm-hmm.
with that being said, he like, oh yeah, I can make some noise with him. He knows
Right.
what he's doing. And I think that was the problem that he was running through with Russ, because Russ sometimes fell a victim of holding the ball, waiting for a big play or something to develop. Penix doesn't
Right.
do that. Penix, he sees it and he's going to get the ball out. So with that being said, I think they go. I like that. I like Penix on the Raiders due to Devontae, but I
Mm-hmm.
like Penix on the Broncos due to Sean Payton and
What
the
Sean
system
Payton
he can
likes to
run,
do. Yep.
because he can make guys look good due to his system.
Right.
So with
But
that
people are
being
afraid.
said,
I don't understand why people keep saying they're afraid of Michael Penix and the injuries. Yes, we know early in his college career at Indiana, he had those major surgeries to the knee and to the shoulder. But these last 2 seasons, he's balled out. He's thrown over 4,500 yards in both seasons. What are we worried about?
Yep. Not
What are
only
we worried?
that, you watched that bowl game against
Exactly.
Michigan?
Yeah.
Mangled.
Yeah.
He was getting mangled. And
Yes,
what
he
he
was.
do? He kept getting back up.
Yeah.
He
He
kept
was.
getting back up.
There was no adjustment second half. I do realize that's the last game we saw on him for film. He did, I will admit, he did miss some hot routes that he could have got the ball out a little bit earlier, but
He
Michigan
was
was all
pressing.
over.
Yeah, he
Michigan
was
was all
pressing.
over him all game. He might have been seeing ghosts back there. You never know.
Definitely. Definitely has been.
Last team with the AFC West, we got the Super Bowl champs, the two-time defending back-to-back champs. Who knows? We may see the first three-peat with Patty Mahomes and the crew. They won the division at 11-6, and they made some key additions. But first, we're gonna get to the departures. Uh, the most important one, they traded away L'Jarius Sneed, their lockdown corner from last year, and they let Marquez Valdes-Scantling walk. That was the only key departures for them. L'Jarius Sneed is going to be hard to replace, but they do still have Trent McDuffie, who has been balling since he got drafted out of Washington last year for them. But you need somebody on that other side. I think that's going to be hard to follow up and for their defense, but I think their defense is going to be solid considering they re-signed Chris Jones like they were supposed to,
Oh,
and they signed Carson Wentz. I guess that's a key addition. They need a backup quarterback,
yeah.
Irv Smith. Now, Irv Smith, I think this is a sneaky good pickup for the Chiefs because Travis Kelce, he's getting up there in age. He's getting up there and being sore, injuries, getting an older guy. I think him being a compliment to Kelsey is going to be very good for Patrick Mahomes. And Irv is fast. He can catch the ball and he can run after the catch. And I think it's going to be some space for him to run. And now, even though it was an okay signing for me, I think Hollywood Brown now makes a lot of sense considering what trouble Rasheed Rice has himself in right now if he gets released by the Chiefs or if he's not able to play or if he is suspended the first 6, maybe 8 to 10 games of the season. So I think that Hollywood Brown signing is going to be very key. And them having the 32nd pick, they may trade out of there. And they also may, who knows, Xavier Worthy, the speedster, may be sitting there for them at the end of the draft on the first round, and they might go corner. Also, to think they need offensive line as well. Where do you think the Chiefs should go, Jerry?
I'm gonna say pass rush.
Pass rush.
And
Why?
the reason why I do is because first thing, we just watched these dudes win the Super Bowl with no receivers.
No receiver.
They had no receivers. They
No
had
receiver.
nobody.
No receiver.
And the tight end Watson, right? He had games where he was on point. Then he had games where he had a lot of drops. So I
Right.
like what you said about that Irv Smith pickup. But I say you go pass rush because now Chris Jones commands so much attention. If he's gonna get that double team, I need a guy who's just gonna win his one-on-one. You know, that's what I need. And I feel like that system on that defense, I think that's why they let homeboy go. Sneed. That's why they traded Sneed.
Yep.
They like, listen, we like you. We like the way you play. We love what you do. Actually, we love you, but we can't afford you, bro.
Yeah.
And this is a
He was
system here. And
he was commanding way too much.
exactly. And
Moolah.
my defense starts up front. So if my front line can get to this quarterback, my cornerbacks can look solid.
Right.
So with that being said, you go get yourself a pass rusher to help Chris Jones out. and then we'll make some more noise again.
I think they're kind of solid there. They still got George Karlaftis, and
Right.
they re-signed Drew Tranquil, who is a good blitzer for them as well on the weak
Mm,
side. So I think they'll be fine.
right.
But maybe pass rush, but receiver as well, considering they don't have any receivers.
Right. They still won without a receiver. This is nuts.
So
The
we gonna
craziest
get
thing.
We're going to get to the AFC East. And first, I'm going to start with the Patriots because they was 4-13 and they got the third pick of the draft. And they don't even know what they want to do, whether they want to draft a quarterback. They keep saying they believe in this guy and that guy. They brought in Jacoby Brissett. Maybe they trust Jacoby. He's an old vet, but he wins games. I will admit that he wins games, but you need a quarterback. You need a franchise quarterback. Or trade down, get multiple picks in the second round. But they added Jacoby Brissett, like I said. They added KJ Osborne. They added Kendrick Bourne, Mike Owenu for offensive lineman, and Antonio Gibson as for the running back. You know they like running back by committee, so they gonna keep getting them running backs. But they got a lot of departures. Mac Wilson, who was productive linebacker for them, Mike Gesicki, Jalen Mills, a DB, Mac Jones, Devontae Parker, and Trent Brown, offensive tackle. So I think the Patriots have a lot of work to do in this division. It might be another 4-13 season or less. I don't see them winning more than 5 games unless they're just a surprise. Their defense is always solid, even when they're not playing well. But I don't see this team winning more than 5 games.
You mentioned it a little bit, and this is what I think they honestly should do because you got the third pick, not the first or the second. We know who's going 1 and 2. So with that being said, trade your ass out of there. Trade out of there, get more draft picks and rebuild. Because you got Brissett, who's a solid vet, who knows the game and has been around multiple teams and knows what he's doing as far as being that solid vet. Then you go draft that young guy who you can groom around Brissett because he's a coachable guy who can help teach up the young guys. So you trade out of that third pick up more draft picks and keep building from there. I don't know what the identity is going to be for this team because new head coach, he seems to be real stern and on point, kind of like a Bill who you lost, but probably a little bit more understanding because he's so young.
Right.
You know, they've been trying to take this route of in the NFL, going after these younger guys, just to make them more relatable instead of this old school way. So we'll see how that goes. But like I said, I think they should definitely try to trade out of that number 3 pick.
Right. Who do you think they will trade if they do trade down? Do you think they trade down to either the Raiders or the Broncos or maybe even the Vikings who need a quarterback as well?
I don't know if the Raiders got draft picks like that. And the
Right.
Broncos is the Broncos, they can't afford to be giving up draft picks either like
Right.
that. Because
After what they gave up for Russ.
yeah, they're stuck. So you're just hoping that it falls to them and then keep building from there. So I don't know. You kind of hope that somebody, this is what you do. Because you go get Marvin Harrison, you're wasting your time. So
Right.
you get a team who's trying to get after Marvin Harrison
Gotcha.
and then try to make him work from there. That's what I think.
Got it. Now moving on to the 7-10 New York Jets, who lost their quarterback within a minute and a half of the first game of the season on the 4th play. They have the 10th pick of the season. They have proclaimed not self-proclaimed, but everybody's putting a crown on them as the AFC champions of the 24-25 season already. Being that they are very talented on the defensive end. They're gonna be coached well. They're gonna ball out. But they also added Hassan Riddick on the defensive end. They got Tyron Smith from Dallas as the left tackle. They added Mike Williams, Morgan Moses on the offensive line, John Simpson on the offensive line, and Solomon Thomas, who was a re-sign for them on the defensive line, and a solid backup quarterback, just in case your old 40-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury gets hurt again, who I think is overrated. You can call me crazy all you want, but I can get into it if you want to. They signed Tyrod Taylor for the backup position for him. They lost Bryce Huff, Dalvin Cook, who was only there for a pancake, quick stop at the Waffle House, real quick. And then CJ Uzomah, the tight end. I do think that they should draft the Georgia tight end here, but they probably will not. They need to go offense here after they got all the talent on defense. What more do you want over there? So I believe they need to go offense, whether it's offensive line or tight end, or do they trade down? I don't know. But back to my hot take. I'm gonna be real quick on this because I've been telling you about Aaron Rodgers. He is overrated. He had all that talent over there in Green Bay. Don't blame the coach. Everybody want to blame the coach, but everybody say he's a bad man and he's one of the best throwers of the football in history of the NFL. This man has won Super Bowl. And he complained about the defense before they got Jair Alexander, Rashawn Gary, the Smith brothers that year. Do you know what their defense ranked when they won the Super Bowl with Charles Woodson back in the day and all them? Do you know what the defense ranked that year?
I want to say it was fifth.
32, bro.
No, it was not 32.
32. You can look it up if you want to.
What, B.J. Raji and Clay Matthews?
32. They gave up bro, their passing defense was trash. They were ranked 32 when they won that Super Bowl. And then they were ranked in the 20s, the teens, a couple fives. And then when they drafted Jair Alexander and Rashawn Gary in those back-to-back drafts, they moved up to like 5-ish and then back down. And those years, though, in the last 3 years of Green Bay, what did Aaron Rodgers do? What did he win?
He choked. Honestly, that don't get talked about.
Not before the playoffs. Not before the playoffs. What was he crowned the last 2 years? The last
MVP.
2 out of 3 years. He won MVP those 2 years, right?
Right.
Back-to-back years, won MVP. Back-to-back years, 13-3, and you ain't get to the Super Bowl. But he's this, he's the best thrower of the football. All this. He supposed to be the man. He supposed to make you win, right? He's supposed to make everybody else around him. And then last year, you lose to Detroit to get the 2 seasons ago. You lose to Detroit to get in the playoffs at home.
That's fact.
At home, when a chance to get in the playoffs, you lose. I'm not trying to hear that Aaron Rodgers talk no more, man.
Right. So you done with him.
Done with Aaron Rodgers, man.
Hey, man, the only thing I say about Rodgers is he's immunized. He's immunized. Okay. He hopped in the chamber before he realized he needed to go to New York.
Right. He about to be on them shrooms.
Nah, but I think they still should keep going at the offensive line because you got Tyron at tackle. When healthy, he do what he do. He put them means on you.
Right.
But he's had a history over the past 7 years of being banged up.
Yeah.
And he got a contract with them where it's a prove it contract.
Right.
Super incentive based. So with that being said, go get yourself a tackle and learn behind Tyron because he's a coachable player. He'll coach guys up. He's a team player. He's a quiet dude. He just comes in there and does his job. Go at the offensive line. Keep building around Aaron Rodgers, the immunized guy.
Agreed. 25th since the year 2015 has not played a full season.
Facts.
All right, we talked a lot about the Bills. I mean, they tied with they won the division. We're gonna get them out of the way real quick because we touched based on them. They had some key departures with Jordan Poyer, Gabe Davis, now Stephon Diggs, and their center Mitch Morris. They added Lyle Collins, a right tackle, Curtis Samuel, Mike Edwards, a safety, and they added a backup quarterback in Mitch Trubisky, who was nobody to talk about because he's really not that good anyway. If they lose Josh Allen, the season's over, and no matter who the backup is for them, because Josh Allen
Facts.
throws the ball. He's their leading rusher the last 2-3 years. Like he does everything for them. Um, they have picked 28, like we said earlier. We already talked about who they may pick, so we're gonna move on to the Dolphins. The Dolphins, they went 11-6. They lost to the Chiefs in the playoffs. They got a lot of talent on that offense. When they lost a couple key guys due to injury late in the season, I think derailed their path of where they may finish in the playoffs as far as playing a home game or an away game. So I think them losing Christian Wilkins in free agency, Raekwon Davis, and they released Xavier Howard. He failed a physical. They got rid of him. He also has been underperforming the last 2 seasons as well. They added Shaq Barrett. They added rival Jordan Poyer from the Bills, Kendall Fuller, Neville Gallimore from Dallas, Jonnu Smith, the tight end, and I think another sneaky addition for the Dolphins, just like I thought that Irv Smith was sneaky for the Chiefs. I think Jordan Brooks, the linebacker, who has produced and has had over 110 plus tackles over the last 3 seasons with Seattle, is going to be a baller for them inside and outside. He can blitz. He is a very good dynamic linebacker. I think he's going to ball for them. The Dolphins, they got a late round pick. I think they may go corner. They may go D tackle. Make sure they reassure that defensive line with Christian Wilkins departing, or they may go edge because they got Chubb and they got their young guy. Both one tears an Achilles, one tears his knee. They gonna need some depth there.
Definitely, I definitely see them going cornerback or D tackle on the inside due to them losing so many guys. And I think the offense is intact. They honestly they got banged up a lot in the offensive line too during the season.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, they could probably even go there too to help Tua hold that ball to get the ball downfield to his speedy receivers because they're always looking for the big play anytime. But yeah, I think they definitely need to add to that defense to make it more stout. Jalen Ramsey's getting a little up there in age, and he's not the same Ramsey as he was, especially coming off that injury. So with that being said, there's nothing wrong with going after another cornerback. You definitely gonna need him in this league that you got all these top receivers coming out.
He did ball those first couple games he got back, but
yeah.
Then
he settled right back in.
Gotcha. Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're gonna finish it off last with the AFC North. This was a super tough division. If Burrow doesn't get hurt, you don't know what could happen with this. All 4 teams, honestly, could have made the playoffs.
Right.
Well, the Steelers don't lose games. That's first thing. Well, they don't have a losing record.
Right.
It's been years since Mike Tomlin had a losing record.
Mediocre. That's what they are, man. They've been mediocre ever since they won that Super Bowl, man.
Right. But listen, they finished 10-7 last year. They got the number 20 pick. I think they go O-line. They go O-line. They got two running backs that I really like, and I like the way that they use them together. You got your tight end and Fairmouth, or however you say it, Fairmouth. Yeah, Fairmouth. You got those guys. I think you go O-line to help Russell Wilson or Fields, whichever other that you want to do. And they definitely picked up some guys outside of Fields and Wilson. You got Patrick Queen. That is going to be huge. Super huge for them.
He is going to clean up the run all day long.
Man, listen. But them picking him up is definitely going to cause some wreck. You already got TJ Watt. I hope he comes back healthy and ready to go for training camp. We'll see how that goes. If not, then later on, earlier in the season.
I
But
believe he could have played against the Bills. I think they was being a little cautious.
right, and there's nothing wrong with that either. Definitely nothing wrong with that because you want that guy to be who he's known to be. So yeah, like I said, I think they go O line. They definitely need that for sure.
20th pick, right?
Yeah,
I think this. I think they need some offense. I think they need some offense, and I think they need a playmaker.
mm.
And I think they go since it losing Deontay, their slot receiver.
Johnson.
Yeah, I think losing Deontay. I think they go receiver here. You got
Okay,
your running back short up. You only have George Pickens. Who
right.
else is on the outside? Who's operating in the inside? Do they go get the quick guy from Georgia, that slot receiver? He's really good. Do they go? It's the 20th round. Do they get Xavier? I mean 20th pick, not 20th round, excuse me. Do they get Xavier Leggett from South Carolina? Do they go get Keon Coleman from Florida State, that if he's sitting there? So I think they go offense. The defense is gonna ball. The defense is
Right.
gonna ball. We ain't gotta worry about them. They can go get
Mhm.
somebody in defense in the second round. But if they want to make an impact receiver and change that Stone Age offense and get
They
that
got better
ball
once they
moving,
made that change. When they made the change to the coordinator, they got a little bit better.
they had Mason Rudolph and Mitch Trubisky, man. Cut it out. Now you got Russ. Russ needs somebody to get down the field when he's scrambling, make a play downfield, make a big catch, and then run and take off as he had in Metcalf and Lockett and Doug Baldwin back in the Seattle days, man. He need
Right.
another he need another
Yeah,
playmaker.
you're right. Yeah. Right. So the next team up, we got the Browns. Browns ended up overachieving due to them losing their quarterback. They don't have a first round draft pick. So I think their quarterback need to come back healthy and do his goddamn job.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think needs to happen. He
Mm-hmm.
needs to come back, do his goddamn job. If you got a Flacco coming in and still winning games for you with that scary defense, Amari Cooper had some crazy games.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, they paid you. Do your damn job.
Gotta go make the money on the field, not off.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so we're gonna move quick off of them. Browns, they like I said, they overachieved. They did what they could do with Flacco there, and he came to the playoffs and went back to being Flacco.
And
That's
they
what he
don't
did.
they don't have a they don't have a first round pick.
No, yeah, no. That's
They
why I
don't have
said
a
that.
right. They don't have a
Yeah,
pick until 54 in the second round.
right. So that's why I said he home. They just got to get healthy
Mm-hmm.
and keep building from what they had last year.
Right.
Next up is the Bengals, who finished 9-8 last year. They got pick 18. I think they need to go back to getting a stout D lineman because I feel like they're missing that. They haven't had that in a while.
Mm-hmm.
They're coached well, but no game record.
Yeah.
Definitely no game record back there for them. And so with that being said, I think they go after a D lineman, get that team back healthy again. That's another team who was killed with a lot of injuries, but they still was winning games. Guys were stepping up, and that's a good coach team.
Yes,
Guys are
they
still
are.
stepping in, plugging and playing, and overachieving, doing what they need to do to win these games. They came up short, but they definitely made it interesting still towards the end of the season.
Who? What pick do they have? You said
18.
they got pick 18. They did pick up Sheldon Rankins from Houston.
They did.
Picked up Sheldon Rankins. They still got B.J. Hill. They still got Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson on the other side. So that D line is very, very solid. I think they go, depending on what happens with T. Higgins.
Receiver?
Depending on what happens with T. Higgins. Now, they franchise tag him. I don't believe he signed that franchise tag yet. And obviously, he has some time.
Right. It's a deadline.
And Who else you lose? Who else did they lose? They lost their inside receiver and Tyler Boyd.
Right.
So they still got to pay Chase.
Mm-hmm.
This leads me to say,
This leads me to say,
do they trade that pick to the Vikings and go get Jay Jettis and put the LSU boys back together again?
man, listen,
If
man,
they do,
man,
if they
listen.
do that, I don't care what the Ravens got on paper right now with Derrick Henry. Who are you covering with Joe Burrow back there healthy? Who are you covering? JJ, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase.
You're gonna cover the ball with a rag when it gets wet. That's the only thing you covering. That's the only thing you covering.
That's my thing. Like, do they take that draft pick? Do they trade it away? I don't know. I don't know what the Cincinnati Bengals are going to do here. I think they have a solid team. They got a good core. They just need Joe Burrow to stay healthy. And then whoever they pick, whether it's at 18 where they traded away and moved back in the second round, they need to pick an impact player.
For sure. And honestly, offensive line won't hurt either because they've had a history of having
Protecting
offensive line
Joe.
problems. Yeah,
Gotta
got rid of
protect
Lyle Collins after they paid him.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. The last team up for everything, we got the Ravens finishing 13-4 last year. They got the number 30 pick.
Mm-hmm.
This is another team I think goes offensive line. I think they go offensive line just to make more of that run game more dominant. You got Henry. You got Mark. Mark's up there in age. So you got the young bull who came in and balled as soon as Mark went down. And you see they changed that tackle rule. He was part of that. So you got Likely. You got Flowers. They let Odell go.
Yeah.
But that offense still is intact. They lost Patrick Queen, but I think that defense is still going to be solid.
Yeah.
I think it's still going to be solid. So you go to offensive line.
Still got Roquan.
Yep. You still got Roquan. So I think that safety is nasty. Young Bull's a beast.
Yeah.
Young Bull's a beast. Yeah.
You know what? I didn't like Hamilton at first because he came from Notre Dame and not a lot of skilled players.
Yeah, Notre Dame guys, Michigan guys, they all suck. He stepped out.
The only players that come out of Notre Dame sometimes is offensive linemen. Them skilled players haven't been good.
Yeah, they
haven't been good.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know what the Ravens gonna do, man. They got a lot of talent. I do think they being at 30 is. I don't know. It's either if your guy is there, you go get him.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's offense or defense, or do you trade back and get more capital draft picks in the second and third round? If they do pick in the first round, and they got another impact guy like they did with Zay, even though they got Zay in the third round, you gotta go get one of them receivers. This draft class is deep. This draft class is deep, man. It's really deep.
I swear, I don't think you said every team was receiver.
Because of the team,
bro.
Not because of the depth in the draft, but because of where the teams are lined up in the draft. These guys is gonna drop down there. Look, listen. The top 3 to 5 is going to be quarterbacks. They talking about quarterbacks going 1 through 5. And then what we got after that, we're going to have at least one O lineman, maybe 2. The offensive lineman from Notre Dame, the offensive lineman from Georgia. Those might be only 2. And then they're going to rattle off all the defensive tackles, all the edge rushers. There might be a corner sprinkled in there. And then guess what? The wide receivers is coming off the board too. Because Marvin Harrison and Neighbors ain't lasting to the 10th pick. I'm telling you that right now. It's not going to happen. And then you got all them guys that's gonna drop at the back
Right.
end of the draft. So I'm going to go get me an impact player for Lamar. I already got Derrick Henry in the backfield back there with me. I don't
Right.
have to run as much anymore unless they call my number or nobody's open downfield and we taking off. So I need another impact receiver on the other side with Zay, while Mark Andrews and Likely handle the middle of the field.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. You said the Texans need a receiver too, right?
Who?
The Texans.
They do.
He said they got Nico Collins, they got Diggs, they got takedown. I think they need another receiver.
Need another receiver. Nah.
Every team need a receiver.
I don't think every team, but like it's just these guys are talented, man, and it's a passing league. They don't they offensive line is always good, whether it's pass blocking or run blocking. They straight. The way they marry the run game with the pass game, they good. You got Derrick Henry back there, Zay and Mark. You had OBJ that didn't do much. Who's going to be the other outside receiver?
Facts. Yeah, no, you're right.
It wasn't Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman didn't do nothing. He ain't show up. What did he do?
Damn thing. No, he didn't. He was working them tight ends. Likely was getting off a lot too.
Exactly.
Once Mark Andrews came down.
Right. He's a more athletic guy. Get that yak, So that's where I'm thinking, man.
Yeah, facts.
So people, that ends the second episode of Real Talk Football tonight. Please make sure you follow on Spotify, follow on Twitter, follow on TikTok, and like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Jerry, it's been fun. We got the AFC out the way. Next week, listen for us to talk about the NFC and their key departures and free agency and their additions and what they may be drafting come April 25th in 2 weeks on Thursday night, which I may remind you guys, we will be live, and it's going to be a great show. I can't wait to the draft. It's one of the best nights of the year.
Henny and wings night for me, baby. It's going to be Henny and wings all night.
Rock boy music.
Lemon pepper steppers on deck.
Everybody have a good day. Thanks for tuning in. Salute.
Yes, sir, bro. Be safe.
Yes, sir.
All right.